Hey, I'm Vanessa. I'm sitting at home. It's International Women's Day. I'm in my day-wear, nightwear pajamas / suave house suit. I've been thinking for a few days and obviously quite affected by the stories that have come out in the Australian government around the sexual assaults that happened to women in the workplace there, and all the reflections that this has for all of us in our lives, that this sex assault, longer term sex abuse, any scale of sexual trauma is really common, if not something all of us have experienced. And although I'm on holidays, I felt really called to be there and to share from my knowledge and wisdom and heart. I was also so moved, fortunate, and inspired by Grace Tame's speech that she gave for Australian of the Year. It was amazing, and if you haven't watched it, and if you feel strong enough to watch it, I would say watch it. Even if you don't feel strong enough, find a space and a time to watch it, because her voice, her story, sharing her story of survival on this level is profound, and it signifies for me, someone who's been in this industry for 12 years, that the conversation is changing. So I started Mia Muse years ago when I was 26, 27, for this reason, that my friends were talking to me about assaults, abuse, rape that they'd experienced, and that they'd never mentioned it before. And that had been happening kind of my whole adult life, and in many different iterations. I went to university in America, and we had this amazing night called Take Back the Night. It was part of this week called V Week, which was around Valentine's Day. And Eve Ensler, who wrote the Vagina Monologues and performed it and really created a movement, one of the inspiring heroes in my story, around violence against women, the awakenings of our vaginas and connections to ourselves and our liberated sexualities, at least in the theatre space and in the book space. So anyway, I had heard many stories from my friends, and I couldn't believe that we were all just sitting on them until there was permission for them to be heard, or that survivors were ready to share. What I have also learned in my work now with women and humans in general, and now more non-binary folk, and also men, cis men, working with everyone, is that being heard and speaking what happened to you is the beginning step. I know some of you who are watching this and who may not have spoken your story or shared it with someone before. That's okay. It doesn't have to come in the form of speech. It can come in the form of flow, of walking, of movement, of dance, of creativity. If we don't consciously, intentionally choose how to move it, it will one day move us, as rage, as anger, as frustration, as overwhelm, as depression, as anxiety. What I also know from survivors and from, my own journey as well, that people, they come to me and they say, I don't want to be a victim. I don't want this put on me. I don't want it to change who I am. And it is that self that says that shows up to talk to me as a friend, to talk to you as a friend, it is that self that is strong and resilient and wonderful and powerful. And it's that self that is the survivor, and it's that self that can hold space for these other wounded parts of ourselves, and rightfully wounded. A lot of therapies look at how this self, how this person today holds space for these younger selves, these traumatized selves. But what I think is the key message there is that these acts are just acts. Often the abuse comes in the silencing and the stigma associated with the not being believed, with the people not even being able to talk about pleasure, with all pleasure educators being blocked from the internet, but the internet is full of porn, of damaging, violent images of sexuality that are just infiltrating. And even in pop culture. But yet people who have studied, myself, 12 years, and I can barely be seen on the internet, you know? It's tiring. It's already tiring to have these conversations and hold space time and time again, and I'm up for that because I'm a fucking activist and I'm into this and I care about people feeling good and feeling love. But I'm not into the silencing and the shaming, and that's the trauma. You know, the act people can get through, we get through violent, hurtful, painful acts all the time. Our vaginas, our genitals, our penises, our mouths, our bodies are okay. We're here, we are alive. But it is this by society, and this by society that silences us, and that by society, that on an individual level is contraction, pain, depression, shame, anger, rage, frustration, violence, and a perpetual cycle of abuse. And maybe it's not exactly the same, or it's self-abuse, or it's self-harm, or it's addiction, self-medicating, violence, manipulation, control, issues with all of these things. You know, because if we don't move it, it has to move. I didn't want to flow so freely in this video, but it's happening. This is like going to be a test round. But so what I want to say to survivors, because this is the message that I've been wanting to give for days, and I've been sitting with it. And knowing that you are resilient. And that if it's calling to you in anxiety, in pain, if it's just running over your head, that's the invitation to seek help. To find someone to talk to write in a journal, to take it to a therapist, to call a hotline, 1-800-RESPECT, Lifeline. There are great platforms out there, and I'll put a list to them in this video or there somewhere. Create flow. Move this feeling. Some of us will be operating from this space without being awake to the fact that we're stuck or that we're in pain. And that's also okay. Maybe this video is an invitation for you to be like, And I wanted to make a video for survivors. And I know it's all of us in a way, and yeah, on a different level, we're all surviving something at the moment as a collective, and that's beautiful as well. But to survivors of sexual assault, to my friends that haven't yet worked through it, to maybe someone who's bothered by their own thoughts about shame that they experience in sexuality, or their body is showing up in pain because it's been contracted for so long. I wanted to talk to you today. If last week, if this week, if today, you've been triggered by the stories and the lack of shifting in our government, or ownership and responsibility taken by Scott Morrison, by the Liberal Party, by the Labour Party, by all parties who are in charge of how our society looks and functions, who cannot even say the word sex publicly, who have issues defining intimacy when we're talking about a pandemic, who cannot change laws for sex educators to be visible on the internet, who refuse to put pleasure education in schools because of religion. This video today is not for you, even though that video is coming. It is for survivors. My message from the work I do in this arena for now over a decade, and specifically one-on-one work for 3 or 4 years, my message to you is to tune off if you need that, to recognize what movement means for you, even if that's journaling, even if that's walking around your garden barefoot or walking up and down the street barefoot for a minute or two. Perhaps it's asking a friend if you can talk to them about this. It's taking time out from the stories from the internet, because the flood of information is just that, and it intercepts our thoughts. It is create flow. What we want to relearn and what we want to remember is that you are safe right here today watching this. The part of you that watches this is the part that we want to grow, and that you are a survivor, and that one act or acts sustained over years, that's quite a different experience, but you are not defined by that at all. The amount of shit sex in general that people don't even qualify as sexual assault or rape, or myself even in those cases, we get through that. We learn to have better connected sex, or sex with ourselves, or feeling pleasure even from the wind, because that's enough. And more of that all day long. So give yourself compassion that maybe you're stuck, and that might last hours, days, weeks, months. And that reaching out, asking consent when you're reaching out, but asking empowers people to say, yes, I would love to help you. No, I can't today, but I know this great therapist, or this friend of mine specializes in that stuff. Reach out. Be kind. Practice when you feel safe in your body, when you're safe and strong in your body, be intentional about that. Add a mantra, add self-talk that says, I am strong, I am capable, look at me. Fuck yeah, I'm the boss. Right? I am safe in this body is mine. Start bringing in those mantras all day. And what else? Community. I think community, this is something I've been learning about as someone who has felt, isolated in my life. The community is precious, and we're all coming back to that way of being from this capitalist, solo, individualistic endeavor. But community, hearing other women's stories, other femme humans, other people's, other men's stories that have also suffered in this way, other people who share the same pain, knowing that it's shared. Find community, drop in, do creative classes where community might build. And that also, if you're working out, awesome, bring in body movement. Some of us will need yin, some of us will need strength building and strong exercises. For me, prayer, solitude, meditation holds me. It allows me to connect beyond the human suffering and the stories that the human creates. But really, I wanted to say that I see you, survivors. That your body, your divine, miraculous body is yours. And if you're in it safely now, you are that. You are in it safely now. And if you're not safe now, let this perhaps be a guide to reach out to friends or to those lifelines. or to a community house. I think we are rising. It is International Women's Day. When I started this work 10, 12 years ago, people didn't know what that was. I had a great tight group of friends and we used to go and celebrate and have a picnic in the park, but people didn't know the date. It wasn't a thing. It has become a thing. Me Too became a thing. Women are supporting other women. Even Britney Spears, that documentary coming out, people realizing that they were fucking awful because of the media, because of capitalism, because of internalized patriarchy that is regardless of gender. Men don't fucking take it on that it's only you. It's all of us suffering with toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. If you're looking at them as energy, the toxic feminine's victimhood, it's the emotional violence. But there are beautiful qualities in both, and the feminine as a quality needs to be healed in all of us, and particularly in men. And men, sharing your stories where you fucked up. It's okay. Claim it. Apologize. Move on. Hold space where the apology is needed, and then be a better person. It's okay. We all fuck up. We all make mistakes. That's what makes us bloody human. And that's what makes this world desperate for change, is that we've all made mistakes. That consent, we didn't talk about consent. None of us were raised with that. I've probably definitely pushed boundaries as well with people and things I've said in workplaces. And yes, I did it for most of the time, like activist reasons, but I've definitely pushed people uncomfortably, and I don't know if it felt safe for them. That's okay. They're okay. Maybe I need to talk to some people, but it's okay to make mistakes and own them and move on and work out what part of you made that mistake and heal it and meet it and say never again. That's needed. That's needed from all of us. And the only way that we can do that is if we're operating from love, self-love. Like, you have to be loving to forgive yourself. You have to be loving to forgive others. And we need that more than ever. So this is not a message to perpetrators, but I want you to look, if you're watching this and you feel like that, own it, explore it. What is it? Move it as well. Because we don't need more of it. We don't need it perpetuated in abuse through your kids or however it comes out. But for my survivors, for people surviving out there, take time, be compassionate, reach out, be in your body. Things you're already doing, notice them as intentional self-care. Reach out to these hotlines. Shoot us a message, ideally on email. And I'm a little bit overwhelmed from a big 12 years, big 39 years. So I may take some time to get back to you. But people are out there and they're willing and they're giving this work, and they will hold you. Invest in it. Happy International Women's Day. Today I honor the feminine, and I honor it rising, and I honor it rising in every individual, in society, in government, in structures, reshaping, reforming, and for us moving from love in action and with care and compassion for the land. I come to you from Wurundjeri land, and in loving myself more, I've learned to love this land and love others better, and that is still an ongoing journey that I commit to when I'm not stuck. And when I'm stuck, it's okay. Love you.